The time is now.
Good evening, everybody. It's the NUFC Talk TV panel show. Welcome, one and all. Mighty Win, Andy Bell. We've got Boki and we've got Jefferson. Look at Boki's face. He's serious tonight, man. I'm telling you now. He's waiting. He's waiting for it. Welcome, one and all in Viewerland.
I said to Jeffo when I sent him the link, I says 9 o'clock kickoff, and when I say kickoff, I mean kickoff.
Yeah. I was having difficulties. Yeah, I was having difficulties behind the scenes, so apologies. I'm a couple of minutes late for some unknown reason. It wouldn't boot up. It wouldn't let me in. I was knocking on the door, but no bugger was answering. Well, welcome again to everybody. Let's do the housework before we get on to tonight's show, because I have a feeling it could be a loud one. And again, you know, what I'm going to say to everybody and in the panel, one in the chat, keep it friendly. We've seen one or two texts coming through in previous shows that was a bit slanderous. So again, it's an open platform. Doesn't matter what colours you wear, as long as you keep it friendly within the chat. Don't mind the banter.
Keep it civil.
Yeah, we don't mind a bit of sledging on this show. Trust me, we do enough of sledging between ourselves as it is. And in the chat, in the panel, if I can just ask you, allow the other person to finish what they're saying before you jump on board. It's so difficult for everybody out there in Viewerland to listen to people talking. You just don't get the message across because one's cutting off the other one. So let's just wait for them to finish. And then if you've got a point to come across, then we'll make it. So anyway, let's crack on with the housework and then we'll get on with the show. So again, thank you to everybody watching across all of the platforms. Thanks to everybody working in the background. My producer's in my ear telling me to get on with it. I'm only joking. Don't forget to hit that like button if you enjoy the show. It just helps us get further as a channel.
Hit that
absolutely.
Like.
I must admit, over the last few shows, you've been absolutely outstanding. So again, please keep going. Smash those like buttons for us straight away. We've got something coming in. Well done.
Michael, great friend of the channel.
Yeah, you can say that one out loud if you will.
Character holding their head in their hand saying, "How's it going?"
Yeah, there you go.
He has an exclusive, right? How's it going?
Hold on. Let me finish this and then we'll crack on.
Go on.
Subscribe. It's totally free. If you want and if you like what you hear and what you see, then hit the bell because you will get notifications 30 minutes before we go live. Unless, obviously, we do a recording of news that's just broken and then we'll upload the recorded version of the news. But we do virtually everything live. Nothing on here is edited. So if you hear it literally from the horse's mouth, and trust me, I've been called worse. Hit the bell out, like I say, for future content. If you want to help us grow, then you can become a member. It's a small monthly fee. There's different levels to choose from. And by becoming a member, what you get then is a chance then to come on board to the Prediction League. It's predicting the Newcastle results every game. If you're in the top 6 at the end of the season, and trust me, it's really hard to get there, you win a prize. And it's as simple as that. If you've got a question for any of the panel members, put a Q in front of that question. We will highlight as many as we can. But obviously, this is a debate channel tonight because there's one or two things that we really need to debate and get our air off. But if you want to guarantee that question is read out, then please use that $sign, throw the super chat in. As you've just seen, it comes straight up. We'll describe whatever it is, and then we'll talk about that if necessary. And again, so apologies if we don't mention everybody's question. We'll do our best to get as many as we can. And anybody that becomes a member during the show, or any of our absolute fantastic members out there that decide to gift memberships, then you also will be highlighted and thanked as we go. So, gentlemen, I suppose you've said you've got something breaking, Win, and I hope it's not wind. Crack on, mate.
Well, I'm very well, thank you. Anyway, that's the first thing. I hope everyone else is. But tonight, I'm going for a first.
Oh. You're going to talk sense.
Because I'm so... There you go. You see, we're up already. I am so fed up of having to defend Eddie in the forum that I'm not even going to let Bogey and Jeffo rail me enough to annoy me. I'm just going to shoot them to pieces with rational argument. In the words of Desmond Tutu,
I'm going to say, who's Esmond? Is that his brother?
Archbishop Desmond Tutu,
He's up on one already.
who my degree was named after.
I used to wear one. Anyway.
When you're in a, let's not say argument, let's say debate, don't raise your voice, improve your argument. And that's what I'm going to do tonight. And any anti-rhetoric that comes out, which is so blatantly baseless, I'm going to have no problem with. I'm just going to present facts.
Can we just stopwatch on that?
Results.
Thank you, Michael.
Chris, I
There
hope
you go.
Hey, there you go.
Can I manage that?
No. I doubt that very much.
So one prediction thing I will finish at top one. He's not gonna let that lie, is he?
No. I mean, literally, Michael McIntyre. Let's throw that back up on the screen if we can. Yeah. Hi all, it's my real name, Toon. Thank you, Michael McIntyre. Character holding their head in their hands, saying, "How's it going?" So there you go. So that's him and his super chat. So super. Thank you, Michael McIntyre. I suppose what we should do to talk. I mean, let's just start the show with some news, and then we'll crack on. I think, obviously, we all know now that Martin Dubravka's gone, and he's thanks for everything. He's put up a little bit of a message, heartfelt message, been a decent servant for the Toon, and I'm sure, like myself, with all of the panel members. Wish him well in Burnley. Apparently, he didn't fly over, according to the sources, he didn't fly over to Asia when the Trafford deal went down because he was having an injection in his shoulder. I think there was probably a little bit more to it than that. But there you go. And obviously, going on the keeper's side of things, we've also had Vlachodimos and Ployas, obviously, in Spain, having his medical for Seville with a season-long loan apparently being agreed.
Followed by another season-long loan and
another season-long loan.
And he got 1 year in his deal, so it'll only be the one.
Yeah. But
I started humming the tune in my head, Gary.
Yeah, exactly. Have you got it now? Have you got it?
Tease me, baby, till I lose control.
That's going to be tonight, isn't it? Listen, can I just say you're no Tony Barton? There's only one Tony Barton on the panel.
The problem is if we sell Vlachodimos, we actually lose money.
Yeah.
PSR wise, that's the problem.
Because
of the deal we did with Nottingham Forest and what we paid in inverted commas for Vlachodimos, if we sell him for less than 20, well, it'll be 20 million now. If we sell him for less than 20 million, it costs us PSR. That's why it's a loan.
I can't say you'll have a good season there.
It's going to be loan.
Yeah. The other bit of news is obviously
By the way, I hope he does well. Like I said, the only game we ever saw him playing a black and white shirt,
half a game.
To my knowledge, was half a game against Hull pre-season.
That's right. And that's the only time.
I thought he looked okay, and he certainly did okay for Greece against England when they beat at Wembley.
Yeah.
I remember a show with Gary when I was trying to, put an argument for his case or why we're signing him for 20 million. Look, it's proven now that we've probably slipped up a little bit there, and it was done. It was done to cheat the system. It wasn't done because it was his value. Exactly. But I think he'll go there and he'll prove he's a good goalkeeper.
Yeah, absolutely.
Another big good. I think for Lewis first of all, who's going to be the number one with Dubravka? Going my prediction. Happy birthday from 2 days ago, Lewis.
Yeah, well done, Lewis.
Oh yeah, new shirt this afternoon. Beautiful.
So who's going to be the number one? Well, to be fair, I was watching the two of them in training. And I was pleasantly surprised. To be fair, he could have some. I hope he could have some somebody really knocking on his door this season. So I think you'll see the two of them play the weekend in the Cellar Cup. I think one will play the first game, the other one will play the second game. And I think from there it'll be it'll be a hard one to see who gets that 1% out of each other, because that's literally all Eddie Howe is looking for. Who's got that 1% ability to bring on a 10% increase in defence going forward, moving it out from defence. So we've seen Pope for so long now. We know it ain't going to be Pope when it comes to kicking. So I think it'll be interesting.
Do you think the question was maybe a little bit more literal in who gets the number one shirt? We'll just try the same.
It could be as simple as who starts against the strongest.
Become number one or the same. Ramsdale become number one.
Absolutely.
I'm guessing it'll be Ramsdale, because I don't think Pope will change his shirt number.
Yeah, well, no, that's the only point I was going to make about that. That shirt numbers. He's got it. He's had it. He's won the cup with it. I would suspect Pope would be happy with a number 22, and obviously if we're buying a goalkeeper and paying him 120 grand a week, then there you go. There's Lewis there. I'm assuming it's Lewis. I meant the number one shirt.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Ramsdale.
Yeah. I think it'll be Ramsdale as well. But I do, like I say, I do think it'll be interesting to see how the two of them play throughout the two friendlies. Like I say, the other piece of news that I wanted to bring in again just before we get on to tonight's show, Vakhtang Salia will officially arrive at Newcastle on the 30th of August. He turns 18, and obviously he's allowed to move across on his 18th birthday. But again, news coming from Newcastle, there's a loan move likely ahead for the 25-26 season, much like Cordero. And that does surprise me, if I'm honest with you. The lad's played at a decent level for his age group over at Tbilisi, and I think it's a shame the fact that they're not going to have a quick look at him before they decide one way or the other. So that's something that I wanted to look at. And obviously we've heard some of the whispers out there about Wissa potentially now, because they're looking, Brentford are looking at Dango Witera to replace him. But the news coming from El Nasser is they're interested as well. So, is another PIF team going to pick pockets with Newcastle? That's the first question I wanted to ask you, the panel. There's lots of news and stories, especially from Eurofoot, which is where I got this from. Saudi club Al Nasser are interested in signing Yohan Wissa from Brentford, so that's reports from L'Equipe. Your thoughts, boys?
Are they not just involved just to gatekeep for us?
I mean, who knows? I mean, there's lots of obviously disgruntlement, if you like, in our chat as well as in the social media world about them giving money for Liverpool to come ahead and buy Isak. So, like I say, our PIF now looking after. Not obviously, they don't seem to be looking after us very well, if I'm honest with you, at this present moment in time. And I don't mean that from a financial benefit. I feel as though, and again, I'm going to play a video in a second, just to give a little bit of backbone to that, because it does seem as though we have been the forgotten few when it comes to pushing and management. So again, your thoughts on Al Nassr coming in. Anybody got any views on that, Win?
Well, are we on about them? Because I missed the start there, Gary. Sorry. Are you on about them going in for
Wissa?
Al Nassr going in for Wissa?
Yeah, that's the rumour.
It just, when I say it blows my mind, not only is a PIF club giving Liverpool whatever, £60 million for Nunes, which is obviously potentially going to be used by Isaac, and thereby weaken us. But now they're also being linked with Wissa, who, by the way, Liverpool are now as well, and Man United are as well. What a surprise!
Yeah. It seems as if, as soon as we start making noise towards one way or the other teams seem to want to come and pickpocket us, and I find it a really strange. I feel like I say, I don't know what it is about this season. This pre-season, because it just feels like you get the same feeling in your gut that we're just not. It's like trying to run in mud, isn't it? You're just not getting any further forward. And I find it crazy. I really do. I find it absolutely mind-boggling. If it's true, like I say, El Quip or Le Quip is the ones. Le Quip is reporting it. I mean, like I say, it could be BS. It could be just clickbait, as always. But there you go. That's the stories. Andy, your thoughts?
The Wissa one, I think, is just Al Nassr. Just let's say there's 4 or 5 sides get involved, and we're not quite in the final stages, and a team gets close, and it's a financial situation why they're close. Al Nassr can just come in and say, "Look, we'll give you the extra X, Y, and Z." That's them out of the picture. Then we can come in and, and then he can always use the excuse of, "Well, I'd always favour the Champions League side over a Saudi Arabian side." I just think they're kind of theirs or muscle. I'll be honest. I just don't see the sense, like Win says, I don't see the sense of our owners. Yes, okay, I can understand the sense of the Nunes one. Look, if Isak's going to leave, the best thing we can do is fill their pockets so we get that money back anyways. But it's going to weaken them, that's the problem. The Wissa one, the only sense that makes to me is there's kind of like a bouncer so we can get in there and get a deal done and kind of put other sides off thinking, well, if they're involved, we're not going to be able to give them the wages that Al Nassr are going to be able to do it.
So you reckon he's going to go there and come to us on loan?
No, I don't think he's going to go there. I just think a lot of Premier League teams, if they believe that they're already in advanced negotiations, will just not bother because they'll know the wages are just going to be something that they can't comprehend.
Yeah.
Bearing in mind, it's not going to be the Liverpools, Man Cities, and Arsenals that's after him. I doubt Man United are interested in them. So I think we would have probably priority over. It's just going to make negotiations easier. That's the way I look at it. Look, I could be way off the mark, but it's the only sense I can make of it.
Well, I totally thought against Manchester United going for him anyway with the financial issues that they've had, and I think they're just going to kick the can a bit further down the road and put themselves in deeper waters if a lot of the rumours that circulate around.
Unless, because bear in mind the Sesko deal is not done.
Well, it is. He's flying. He's already in Manchester.
Until he pulls up a red shirt on, and would it not make perfect sense for Man United? They've got Mbeumo for Man United to get Wissa as well, so they've got that Mbeumo Wissa combo, which was so for 60 GA last year for Brentford, and save themselves the 90 million.
Can you imagine the reaction from Man United fans when they think that they're getting a 90 million euro player and then they get, hang on, we're getting Wissa and Mbeumo. We're now Brentford.
I mean, we know Man United haven't got the most brains in the world at the recruitment, scouting, whatever level.
It's not a good PR stunt, Adam, in my opinion.
But for me, reuniting Mbeumo and Wissa would be a masterstroke.
Yeah, I just a little bit of news on Sesko. Apparently, his salary at Manchester United is 160,000 a week, and his salary will increase by 25% if they qualify for the Champions League to 200,000 a week. So obviously, we offered him 170. That's been reported. So all this BS about him going there for money isn't quite true, because again, there's no guarantees that they will get Champions League. It's like I say, it's one of those when I was saying about the 80,000 plus 80 million plus 10. It depends on what that plus 10 quantifies, whether it's achievable or not. It could take a lot longer to get. So it does depend on how it works. Boki, your thoughts, mate?
I think what we're all forgetting is that we're looking at PIF as if they ultra manage every asset that they've got. They don't. They've got management in each structure that they've got.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, they own Newcastle United and they own clubs in obviously across that way. In regards to that, they're not. I don't think they'll see it as competing against each other. What they'll see is that their management structures in each club are doing what's best for that club. So I think it's a bit naive to think that it's PIF going up against PIF. It's not. It's PIF's management structure in each business that they've got doing what's best for that business.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't seem to have worked, the management structure that they've put into our situation at this present moment in time.
Well, that's Wynn's fault for allowing Eddie Howe to take full control.
Love it. Love it.
That's one nil.
This is strike one. You seriously believe, nice low voice, no sentiment, no emotion, you seriously think that if Eddie Howe was given the decision, let's go back to the very start with Mbeumo, who Man United got, okay, forget the fact that he said he wanted to go there. If we had gone to Brentford at the very start, when they were asking for 50, and Eddie has got a no holds barred on money, other than let's assume, which would be perfectly reasonable, that he's got a pot of money that he can spend during the whole window, and he's allowed to decide how he wants to spend it. Do you seriously think that he wouldn't have gone to Brentford straight off the bat and not offered 40 million, but said, we'll give you 70 million? Because if he'd done that, and the same with Pedro, by the way, if he'd done that there and then, he would have got the number one player that he wanted. So you are trying to say to me that Eddie had that power and chose not to use it.
But no, what I'm saying with is, if he hasn't got that power, but he wanted that player, why didn't he stomp up the stairs again and say, this is the player I want?
Okay.
This is the player I want. Basically, it's going to cost you, as you've said throughout the whole thing,
Okay.
for the 40 million extra for Pedro, it would have cost we're next to now over the 5 years of financial fair play. Why didn't he just stomp his little legs up the stairs again and say, I want this player, you's pay for us, or if not, then you're making my job impossible.
So, who does he stomp upstairs to?
Well, if you're saying there's no one to stomp upstairs to, he's then in charge of transfers, so he should just have stumped up the money.
But the point is,
Got you there, like.
he isn't in charge of the money. You're saying he should stump upstairs.
So by stomp upstairs, I don't mean stomp upstairs literally.
I've
I mean,
got
give them a
no
ring.
idea who is in charge of the money. I've got no idea who has to rubber stamp that deal.
But Eddie will be in.
My
Eddie will know.
my opinion is that there ain't nobody there doing that.
Why?
I've got no idea why.
You got no idea.
If that's the case, if there's nobody there, who's actually making transfer?
Because other than the fact that obviously PIF have taken, because Darren Eales has been unfit for purpose for 6 months, and the guy that he appointed to hopefully get Eddie sacked has been shown the door, there's just a vacuum there.
So when
And
where's
that
your
is the problem.
Where's your
That's my argument.
Where's your
There
proof
is
that-
nobody for him to stomp upstairs to other than the chairman. And has he actually got that conduit? Has he got somewhere where he can go
Teams,
saying
Zoom.
what is going on?
Zoom, WebEx?
That's how everybody works virtually.
Look at us now.
Got a mobile phone.
Yeah, look at us now.
Yeah.
Hey, listen. Like I said, the one thing that I often let's put this on the screen. Irish Assassin, thank you ever so much. Well, if we have no one in charge of the purse, how can we try and sign players? That makes no sense.
There's got to be some.
What I'm saying is, yeah, the players have been identified, but how much we are actually paying for them, I have no idea who's deciding that.
Yeah. Go on. I mean, like I say, that this battle between you guys on Eddie Howe and the board.
It's never
and
ending.
everybody-
It's stronghold.
well, like I say, it's a case of I can't see proof either way, and that's
Yeah,
what
that's
I said.
right.
You know, for me, all I do is say I support the guy who runs the football until a day where he needs replacing. And at this present moment in time, and I've always stated it, the only weight that Eddie Howe has got at this present moment in time behind him is the results getting us into Champions League 2 out of 3 and winning a cup for the first time in 70 years. So when you class that as being, or if you class that as being a heavyweight versus a lightweight, in a category of who has the biggest mouth, I don't think it is. Like I said, when we were looking behind the scenes at the board level, and you look at all the people that have bought in, all the people in the hot seat, it's Darren Eales. The only person Darren Eales didn't bring in is Eddie Howe. So was this, and I'm going to ask the question to you guys before I ask.
I haven't even answered the first
I'm
question.
going to say, what we were on this thing, because I was going to say, was this a ploy when they got Amanda out? Because according to all the rumours, she was getting backstabbed behind the scenes by the likes of Silverstone, et al. We don't know. It's just all the rumours.
No. I think to be fair, Amanda kind of dug her own grave, sadly, because with her other business dealings, her suitability, shall we say, let's not get into legalities,
No.
to be a director were significantly called into question. And PIF, being the squeaky clean, multi-international company that they are, could not be associated with a dodgy director in one of their projects. As insignificant as it is within their portfolio, they would have done the same anywhere else. So she got into problems with her non-PIF dealings, and then on top of that, it came to light that what she had spent over and above what she should theoretically have spent with the PSR regulations to get us out of relegation problems, to get us into the Champions League, to buy the players that were bought to do exactly that, also turned out to be excessive, shall we say. So she had to go. And they got Darren Eales in, who made damn sure that she went.
Allegedly.
And as Jeffo will be super proud of, one of the first statements that Darren Eales made publicly was, every player's got a price. We may have to sell some of our crown jewels. And he based that argument upon the fact that we would need to do that in order to compensate for the impropriety which Amanda had shown. So that was that whole thing. And of course, the other thing about that is that Amanda was Eddie's biggest ally. Eddie says, I want him, we got him, I want him, we got him, I want him, we got him, I want him, we got him. And didn't we do well using that strategy?
So let's hear the other side of the fence.
Strategy win.
Come on, Jeffo.
That's not a strategy, and that's not how a modern club should be operating. If you look at the top six, which is where we're aiming to be or to become, ask the question, are they operating in that same way? It's unsustainable. Strategy wasn't fit for purpose, and it got us into PSR issues. But I want to go back to the first question very quickly.
Go on.
Just to add on to what Boki was saying, he's correct. We have to think about it like this. It's business, and there's no sentiment in business, guys. It's the corporate world. Yeah. So they're going to have lots of separate portfolios and projects, and each one will have a director or a program manager, whatever that is. Their ultimate aim is World Cup 2030. So as a result of that, they need to boost their league. It's so important. That's what you saw with the 2026 World Cup and them trying to get Leo Messi and other big stars, because it brings a lot of interest to their domestic league. So there's going to be conflicting priorities.
Oh, what's that?
Oh, where's that coming from? So that threw me off my stride there a little bit. So they're going to have conflicting priorities in that instance. So I don't think it's a personal thing. It's just the corporate world playing out in public. But unfortunately, it feels like there's a bit of collateral damage going on there. And they maybe do need to sort it out. But probably for them, their biggest priority, because you've got to think about it like this. They've got a big portfolio, Shell, BP, Uber, Facebook, Meta, whatever. Newcastle United is simply one of their portfolio. So their biggest goal will be, how can we divert sort of traffic and popularity heading into this 2030 World Cup, and boosting their league is a big part of that.
The thing with the Newcastle part, though, I totally agree with you there, Jefferson. The World Cup is their biggest focus. The thing that I get is, going back to the Al Nassr bid for Wissa, is why do you want to challenge your biggest PR, your football PR tool so far, which i.e. is the Premier League team that you own? Newcastle, more eyes are on us than they are, and even Ronaldo being at Al Nassr. Don't challenge your big dog to let your little dog catch up. Do you know what I mean? I know their league is their baby, but we ultimately, if we can grow to be ultra competitive, let's say we come second in the league, winning a couple of FA Cups between now and then. A lot of Saudi Arabians, their push is for every Saudi Arabian to have their team in Saudi and also have a team in the Premier League, i.e. us. We can get as many Newcastle United shirts there that aren't British people, are going to be natives of Saudi Arabia. That's going to grow not only the PIF brand, it's also going to grow their league as well, because they're going to go, hang on, who's this Newcastle team? Anyone? And they'll go, oh, well, the league in Saudi Arabia, that's who owns it. So I can't make sense of the challenge and their teams challenging us for signings that are owned by a PIF. I can't make sense of it. I get what Boki said before as well. You've got individual different boards that have got different objectives. They are separate to the overall objective of the PIF, which is to grow Newcastle. But at the same time, after all the commotion and with the laughing stock of the Premier League at the moment, in British football really at the moment, don't give any people more sticks to hit with. Come on.
Yeah, it does seem really hard, doesn't it? We've got a couple of chats come in. Irish Assassin again, $5. Stavely signed trips, Bruno Botsman, Isaac, Hall, Willock. Since then, Alanga, Rams, Kelly, Cordero, Vlad, Rudy, Osula. What are we doing? She was a closer. And I think that is the thing, isn't it? I think when you look at the players that she brought in, at this present moment in time, she's miles ahead of the people that have followed her. Chris the American Mag has also come on with this one. Too long win. Give us the cliff notes, mate.
He's diluting the product because he's a
He
pussy.
only wants the high notes.
Oh, bless
More
you.
coffee and less drink,
As a
mate.
good friend of mine called Derek said, he's a pussy. That's what's happened tonight. Let's be having your mate. Let's be having your son. You know what I
Right.
mean? Because all that's going to happen is Chris
Family
is going to
ties.
look like Stone
Yeah.
Cold Steve Austin again and kick us all up the arse telling us we're doing shit. So let's
Right,
be
let's-
having your mate.
Yeah. Before we get on to the main topic, because like I say, there is going to be quite a debate, I think, going on in a second. This is from Michael Mick. There's only one topic.
Love
Forget
and
signing,
raised my voice,
forget
by
Isa.
the way.
When are we getting
Love
the
you, Tom.
stadium?
I
It's
love
the
you.
only way forward. And I think this is the problem this season, isn't it? We've been like held further and further back by all this, like I say, leading I suppose, hanging the carrot in front of the donkey type of situation. And it's a case of everybody's on them tender hooks to say, oh, we are moving. This is happening. That's happening. Training grounds doing well. The stadium now is getting sorted. Now we can really push on. And then absolutely nothing.
The crest.
Not a sausage. And I think this is where, like I said, to me, it's like Groundhog Day. It seems as though everything has been like pulled out there saying, this is where we're going to be, and it goes across all the social media, us as a platform, sing the praises, give it all the large, and then you just look as though you are, out there in the mire, banging your heads against the wall. Random Access, thank you, matey, for gifting a membership. We'll have a look at that.
Quickly.
I don't know who that's gone to. We'll see in a second.
I'll tell you in a second. It has gone to apples.
Apples, nice. I like apples.
Apples, there's a
Well
new
done.
name. I haven't seen apples before, and
Yeah,
thank
welcome
you
on board.
again, Random.
Yeah. So, but I do think Michael's right. It is really strange how these guys seem to have, like I say, thrown all the carrots in front of the donkeys, and nothing else. All they seem to have done is gone backwards.
Gary,
They
I wanna
aren't
add
certainly
something
moving.
to your point because I think it's a really vital point. I think the biggest thing about Amanda is she was able to sell the vision of the club.
Yeah, absolutely. She
And
was a
that's really
closer.
something we don't have now. But the other thing is, I think there was a lot of excitement about after the takeover because no one really knew what shape we would take. Everyone assumed that we was going to be like Man City and PSG. So there was a little bit of more excitement, I think. And I think with Mandy selling the dream, we're going to win the Premier League in 5 years. We're going to win the Champions League in 10 years. You're bound to get more interest. But it feels like the brakes have come on. We're slowing down or, we've got a bit faulty with the clutch. So I think the momentum of since the takeover has really slowed down. So that has an impact. But if you look back to even Ashley's time, I could be wrong. Was it Penfold that was director of football? How was he able to conduct
I
deals?
heard of him.
Right? Lee Charnley.
Ninja
How
Mouse.
was he able
Lee
to
Charnley,
conduct
yeah.
deals? But
Ninja Mouse.
Eddie Howe's nephew can't. It shows how out of his depth he really is.
Hang on. Who did Ashley ever bring in? Out of the blue from nowhere?
Derek Lambert.
Joking here?
No. Hang on. that was when what they call him, the comedians. Carl.
Alan Carr.
Yeah, and he was there. He was there before Ashley.
Graham Carr.
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah. That's Alan Carr's dad.
He was picking. And by the way, again, at the time, this was when we'd already been picking up the Ginolas of the world. And then he went on this super duper French scouting sojourn that nobody else was on, because nobody had scouting networks then. And again, it was in the very infancy of stats and all of that. And Graham Carr actually used to, of course, because he used to love France. He used to go to France and physically watch the teams, not on telly. He used to physically go and watch them.
Got a couple wrong as well, though. When
And exactly with all of these, you get a lot of wrong uns.
Yeah.
But he got most of them right. And the key thing is buy low, sell high. So if you're getting a Jose Perez for 1.5 million, you're selling for 30 million. I'm no maths whiz. Is that 300% profit or 3,000% profit? Sissoko,
ready to
1.8 million, also sold him for 30 million. Right, we got Mitrovic for like 12.5 mil, sold him for 27, so we more than doubled our money. So the recruitment was better. The only difference was is that Ashley pocketed the money rather than reinvesting it. So if we could replicate that setup, we would be flying right now. Absolutely flying.
Yeah, but again, I go back. The difference between now and then is the difference between night and day.
Yeah, we've
Isn't
another
it on
one
the
coming
basis
from
of-
Warren Dinning. Ho, we're in trouble. Top six mafia came along and burst our bubble. Thanks, Warren.
Yes, Warren.
No, lads.
Just before you go, I've just had some breaking news. Sesko to Man U is done, and the medical taking place tomorrow.
Shock horror.
Kiss my teeth.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, don't you think on the basis, though, that we were looking at more obscure targets and we were very clever? Because even if you look at Mitrovic, not many people watch the Belgian league. And yeah, Chelsea were in for him, but on the basis that they couldn't guarantee him first team football, we got him. You know, we managed to get Wijnaldum from the Dutch league. So why is there this obsession with the Premier League proven, where we know there's going to be a tax, we're going to have to pay more, and we're having to compete against the big six to get these players? So there's no strategy, and we've clearly not been very smart about this, and we have to call it out, Win.
Why we're not
Because again, the difference there was that we were buying players to avoid relegation, not buying players to win the league or to get into the Champions League. Completely different scenario. We were there. Ashley's sole objective was to keep us in the Prem, so he kept on getting the advertising, so he kept on getting the Premier League television money. Completely different scenario to the pool that we rightly should be fishing in at the minute. We want players who are way above the levels of those. Hatton Ben Arthur wouldn't get into any squad now.
You're killing me. He's
I'm
better
not
than
kidding
Anthony
you.
Gordon, mate. Come on, Win. Come on, Win.
Just a quick point on this.
He was at
Eddie Howe knew from the end of last season that basically, whatever we say about who signs the check, but basically him and his team are going to be in charge of transfers. And as everybody's saying that he's got a good network, he's been great, you know, like building up a net. Why didn't he build up his transfer, like his team that were going to be dealing with transfers going into this?
Yeah, that's something I want to come into the main subject of tonight.
Sorry, Gary.
No, that's all right. I want to because this is something that
wasn't his job.
Hold on, Win. Hold on. Let's do all the chat, because, like I say, there's so many people in there, and thank you so much for everybody in the viewerland, because there's lots of questions coming. And I do want to highlight a couple of them before we get into tonight's main subject, which is going to be transfers, scouting, things like that. Because, like I say, there's so much gone on over the last 24, 36 hours. It's sometimes really hard to keep up with. In the world of Newcastle United, it just seems as, like I say, another story breaks every minute. Iniesta's saying, who would you choose? Larson, Jackson, or Munoz? Well, obviously, there's another one in there now, isn't there? Somebody was saying Pavlidis is involved.
Benfica, definitely.
Benfica, I would definitely go with him out of all of them, if I'm honest with you. But if I had to choose between them, I think Jackson would be C for me, number C. I like Larson, but again, he's like a one-trick pony for me. Very strong, very direct, and you have to play to him and his strengths. And again, I think there's a potential Chris Wood scenario going to go on with Larson. I like him, and I think he fits the right team. And Munoz doesn't blow my frock up.
Another signing, by the way.
Yeah, and Munoz doesn't really blow my frock up, if I'm honest with you. But again, I think he's a player that could potentially fit into the jigsaw.
And he scored against us at St. James's.
St. James's, yeah, absolutely.
Highest minutes ratio, I think, in the Premier League last season. because he played a lot of games off the bench.
Yeah, I think he scored more goals off the bench than any other striker. But going back to what you were saying there before, Jeff, look, I totally get Wynn's point. We were shopping in a different era. We're shopping to get players now that are going to improve a competitive side. We weren't competitive then. But your theory still rings true. Yes, we're going for the obvious Premier League targets, hence why we're missing out on them. There's still obscure ones there that haven't actually made up, have had flashes at the top level, like Pavadilis, Samu, Patrick Schick, Demirovic. There's
Excellent.
loads out there. The problem is are we willing to take, is Eddie Howe willing to take the gamble? And when you're giving it this, all right, we've sat and listened to you for half an hour, right? You know, at the same time, Patrick Schick scored goals wherever he's been. Samu's 22-year-old, he scored 21 goals as a 21-year-old.
21,
yeah. Got a hat-trick against Barcelona. I think he got 9 in the Champions League. Yes, he's unproven in the Premier League, but that does not mean you can make the step up to the Premier League when you're given an opportunity.
Well, so is Sesko. You're willing to throw 80 million plus 10 at Sesko, and everybody was jumping through hoops, and he could fall flat on his face like a lot of them have. You know, because you pay the money doesn't guarantee you're going to get the reward from the end of it. And we've seen that, unfortunately, with the way Manchester United have done business recently over umpteen seasons.
Why pay 60 for Jackson when you know exactly his limitations? When you can go and get someone like a Patrick Schick, yes, okay, as a backup, he's getting on, he just pick up the odd injury. Go and get a Samu or Pavadilis. Steve loves him. I've watched him a few times. Look, he's getting goals in the Champions League.
Mikatadze as well from Leon.
Any one of the dozens of names.
Harry Kane, that's been linked today.
That'll do for me.
I thought you was going to say that. Yeah,
just get him in. Pay him his half. He's
that first one of head and hands. It's me first.
Get him in. Go.
Harry Kane and who else?
Yeah, exactly.
Problem.
We Love Life has put one virtually what we talked about on Tuesday. Question for the panel: do you not think that the tactic of our isolating Isak and all in the media and players can see it? This is why no players don't want to come to Newcastle. If I was a player, I wouldn't. You know what? I think there's definitely Highland is for sale. Come get him. I'll give 30 mil. You know, for me, we said this on Tuesday, and if you haven't seen that We Love Life, go and have a look at Tuesday's video. We had a sports psychiatrist with us, Dr. Omar, who obviously deals with sports people on a day-to-day basis. So he gave us some insight on how damaging that can be. And as we always saying, the psychological effect of being a fan, having all these issues behind the scenes and everything else is bad enough. So you imagine dealing with it as a player and moving towards the club. You have to doubt whether you're making the right choice, don't you? I mean, is that not just fact?
Must be a nightmare sitting on 120 grand a week thinking, I'm going to either go somewhere and get a bigger contract or stay here and get a bigger contract.
Yeah,
I would sit and worry about that all day, to be honest.
Well, like I said, you know, I spoke I would say lungly into the night, but it wasn't. It was dark when we were having a drink. But I mean, Paul Pescasolido, when he was at Birmingham, I had the pleasure in having a chat with him post-match when he was there, and he was saying the biggest problem you find as a professional footballer, it's like serving a prison sentence. Yes, you may get the money, you may get the rewards, but you can't do what you want to do without being hassled constantly, unless you go somewhere else where people don't know you. So it's like I said, the psychological effect of being a professional footballer is different to the everyday worker because they are a star. They are in the limelight, aren't they?
That doesn't matter what club you're at, though.
No, it doesn't. That's what I said.
So I mean, in Isak's case, in that particular thing, you can't sit and feel sorry for him because he's got potential offers on the table. I completely agree that all footballers have probably got mental health issues in regard to being stuck in a fishbowl, basically, because they can't go outside their bubble because of the position they're in. Unless
they move, you know, they can drive out of town. Yeah, exactly. And I think, like I said, Isak probably did the right thing for his own mental health by going to Spain. He just did it wrongly. You know, he didn't contact any member of the club to say, listen, I don't feel safe on my own at the club because of all the speculation. I'm going to go over there. And I think that would have closed a lot of doors. And again, all it's done is lit a lot more fires within the burning field. And I think that's the issue now. So going on to the next question, but thank you, Wheel of Life, for that one. But like I say, please go and see Tuesday's video for that one.
And thank you, Rebe Bakir, for his 20 Norwegian krona, saying, is he on about Hoyland or
Yeah.
he's got an eye there instead of a Jimmy? Is for sale. Come and get him. I assume you must be a Man United fan. No thank you.
Yeah. James Stasher.
Unless there is a different Highland playing in Norway who we particularly...
I think he's on about. There's another one in another team. I think Man United.
There's a Helmond or something like that, isn't there?
Yeah.
He's meant to be quite good, by the way.
Quite good. Yeah,
well, he's got the Norwegian type right now with the O crossed through, so I assume he knows what he's talking about. God bless him, Robert. River. Sorry.
Yeah. Jam Stasher's literally what we're going to be talking about in a minute. The recruiting team had no plan, and if they did, it was an awful plan. No plan and too slow.
Right, and okay, so I made a note about that very comment when it came up, which was...
You need to lower that voice a little bit. You're going
up.
Yeah, your octanes are going higher, mate.
We have got a plan. The recruitment team have got a plan, and they've started at the top, and we've been gazumped by bigger teams, whether you like it or not, than what we are. So we are working our way down the list. We've now got as far as Wissa. So the fact that we're now going for Wissa does not mean that we haven't got a plan. It simply means that all of the players that we've been trying for before that are very, very good players, and therefore they're wanted by Real Madrid, Liverpool, Man United, Chelsea. I rest my case.
I totally agree with that, Win, but I think the Trafford deal is the one that you can look at and go, how long do you need to be interested publicly for a player for you to get gazumped? I mean, Man City, came in last minute? We've been interested for over 12 months.
Yes, at 25 million. At 25 million, we've been interested.
And sacrificed here in the process.
And I just hope the striker list isn't in alphabetical order that we're going down.
And just going back onto the gentleman who said that Hoyland is for sale. Apparently, Hoyland's brother plays in midfield for Eintracht Frankfurt, so maybe he was.
So it's
he was
a different Hoyland.
It might be. I'm not sure it is.
We do definitely need to strengthen the midfield, without a doubt.
One Learn has said Eddie Howe is not a big enough name to attract these players. I think
fair play.
You know, I think like is Maresca at Chelsea a big enough name to get these players in?
On the basis of him being a player,
on the basis of him being in Chelsea and able to give money, I think yes.
Because people know that he, as a player, he was a decent player. He won the Europa League with Sevilla. So, the player's reputation carries into him being a manager.
Oh, it's because Eddie Howe was a sick note. That's what it was. It was bloody injury prone.
What's Amrin done other than won a poor Portuguese league with massive ball of talent? Considering the league he was playing in?
He beat Arsenal in the knockout stages of the Europa League, and he also smashed Man City 4-1.
We beat Arsenal twice in the semi-finals, and Liverpool in the final.
And the other thing about Ruben Amorim that was really
Chelsea in the quarter
was he took over at Braga, so a team with a smaller budget, and he won them the Portuguese Cup. So if you can do it at that small level, it shows that with more resource, he could be a really, really good manager.
And here we're going.
He had to achieve it, though, wasn't he?
I absolutely, totally agree with you, Jeffo. There's a first and all.
Oh God! If I had a bag, I'd write it to my chest. I mean, that was a good one.
No, because you're saying that Maresca can potentially become an elite manager.
I know, Win, because he's got 2 domestic cups and 2 domestic leagues.
So as
Maresca.
Eddie
He
Howe's
knows how to win. He
Playing.
knows how to
League
win.
Two,
That's
we know-
hang on.
Not
That's
just
playing.
participate. He knows how to win.
And what Maresca has got now that Eddie hasn't got is almost unlimited financial backing. He's got a first team squad now of whatever 30, 50 million plus players. Let's see what he does with them, because I've said all along my reservations about Eddie Howe are what he can do when he is backed and can get the players he wants.
But
Win.
win.
Can I
Do you
just
know how
say
Maresca's got
win or
that
win
money?
early?
One at a time, boys.
Hitherto-
One at a time, guys. Let the bottom ones speak. Win 2 seconds.
Hitherto, he hasn't had that backing.
Win earlier in the window. You were saying finance wasn't an issue in this transfer window.
Well, I don't,
Now,
I don't
now,
think
now
the-
you're
I
using
don't
that
think
as
the
an
actual
excuse as
money
well.
is.
Can we also just add one about Amarin Braga? Great achievement. As Eddie Howe took over Bournemouth when they had administration in League Two, they were looking at being kicked out of the Football League. He's won the League Two Championship, League One Championship, the Championship. He kept Bournemouth up for 5 consecutive seasons with very little money. Okay, they made a couple of
Selling
big
all their
ones,
best players.
sold all the best players.
And that may be his forte. That may be.
Exactly. But I think that's a hell of a lot more impressive than
I
what
don't
Amarin's
know.
done.
I want to see him given the opportunity which Maresca has got now.
He
Where
has
he's
been.
able
He
to
hasn't signed
qualify
anybody.
Who the hell he
You think-
wants.
The thing with Maresca is, though, you got to think the way they do it is he doesn't have control over
I was going to
who's
say,
signed.
is it Maresca actually going out there and negotiating the situation?
That's an even better coaching ability because he's getting random players in who the club are just signed and they're like, make it work. And he has made it work. They've won 2 trophies, considering they beat the best team in the world today. 4-0 or 5-0? Right?
4, I think, wasn't it?
So, he's taken them another level above what
Now,
Pochettino
hold on,
did.
Jeffo. I think I could do that with 42 players.
Exactly.
Like, fair enough, but the other thing is, do you know what the difference is here? There's no sentiment. So part of the reason of generating that funds is they've been willing to sell players. They sold Gallagher. They sold there was someone else in my head that they just sold.
You can sell players when you've got
But you
big.
have to sell players. And Eddie's sentiment of we must keep the squad together is also holding us back. Because you see
That's a good one from
Chelsea.
Foxy. To be fair.
players.
Have Chelsea sold Cole Palmer?
Why would you sell
Chelsea
Cole
sold
Palmer?
Caicedo?
But they have a bigger squad win, and they don't have
No,
financial issues.
no. Hang on. Who do you say was Chelsea's best player at the minute?
You've got to go with Cole Palmer, haven't you? Because he's been for the Ballon d'Or. He's been nominated
would
for the
they say?
Ballon d'Or.
You could argue.
financial
Hang
issue.
on. You could argue Cole Palmer. You could argue Caicedo. You could even argue
Cucurella.
Cucurella, Spanish fullback.
DX.
Yeah, so they sold Ben Chilwell so that they could
The
get
X indeed.
Cucurella
We
in.
had 5 other left backs to come in. If we sell a left back, we're left short. That's why Conor Gallagher leaving isn't much of really bothered them because they've got.
And by the way,
But if you sell a Gordon,
they've spent over 100 million on Enzo, on
I don't think we
Caicedo.
diss Gordon personally.
One at a time. Can I just?
think it's
Here's a good one. Do you think Man City now, looking back from the time that they sold Cole Palmer, do you think they regret it?
Absolutely. I mean, the fact that, the stats prove
Probably
it.
not.
Because I mean, to be fair, when they lost Rodrigo for the season, I know he plays in a different position and a different outlook, but Cole Palmer gives them something, like in replace of Silva, something like that, an older boy, and you've got somebody like Cole Palmer who can play more of an inside right position. I don't know. I think Man City lost out on that one because how much money do you think he's worth now at Chelsea? I would
mean, to be
imagine
fair,
he's twice.
45, I think they got 45 for him, and him being an academy graduate, that was big money for.
Massive.
A great deal by Man City, you could argue.
I think
Morris is the one that hurt them.
the Mahrez one hit them harder. I think because he was someone that guaranteed will come off the bench and get them 2 goals. Like he would get them out of
Four
the all the
four
time.
wingers to try and replace them.
No,
and still haven't.
he has another very interesting point, right? Identifying first teamers for the big clubs, even I'll even put Newcastle in that. Identifying them is easy. Getting them as we've discovered, not so easy. The trick and the magic, if you like, is being able to identify players who can come off the bench and not diminish the whole picture. I was watching LB last night, and he came up with a fantastic scenario where Aguero notoriously was a poor starter. He always had poor starts to the season. Once he got going, and lightning. And whereas Mahrez, the very player you're on about, he could come off the bench and give you something. Now, right at the minute, Newcastle's bench, you could argue we've got Barnes who can come off the bench, and because it's proven, he's done it, he can come off the bench and do stuff.
Murphy.
I wouldn't have any qualms at all about Livramento being a starter and Kieran Trippier coming off the bench and being able to do a job. But after that, you're talking about, let's assume Botman can stay fit, and he's the number 6. I think Big Dan, just because of his attitude and his commitment to the Toon, I don't think he would let you down. I think Shea would be okay coming off the bench.
But when can I refer you back to that?
After that, you're struggling.
After other conversations we've had and in other videos which we can bring up. But
Yeah. I
you
know
basically,
exactly what you're going to say.
you basically said this is the best squad we've ever had.
For the reason. But by the way, this was before when you were.
No. Answer that quick. This is the best squad we've ever had. You've named 3 players.
We've already
off the
had
bench.
this conversation, Bookman.
Yeah.
I can. Go
We've
through.
already proved you wrong, and you're making the other point again.
Go through the team. We've got Dubravka. We had Pope Dubravka. I don't think there's a cigarette paper between them now. Livramento, so that's a goalie. Right back. Livramento.
We're wasting a load of time here. You don't need to go through the team. You've just named 3 players that can come off the bench and make a difference.
Well,
Dubravka's the squad we've ever had.
Or if Murphy starts, you've got Langer off the bench. Or if Barnes starts, you've got Gordon off the bench.
Which is what we said.
My argument is
Just opposite way around.
Which differs from LB's. But I do agree with his argument that it's harder. It's easy to find stellar first team players. It's harder to identify players off the bench, and that certainly goes against my transfer wish list, which for me should be to buy a player who is better than what's in the first team at the minute, so that first team player gets demoted to the bench, and when he does have to come on for rotational purposes or subs or whatever,
but you've
much better than the options we've got now.
You've done a great job with that answer, Win, but you've completely dodged the question. You said this was the best squad we've ever had. Do you still stand by that?
As long as we keep Isaac.
So even if we keep Isaac, so we've got 4 players that can come off the bench. If we include Elanga,
well,
is that the best? Is that the best squad we've ever had?
Well, I believe so. Can you tell me a better one?
97.
96, 97, yeah.
Who was on the bench in 97?
Watson.
Watson, yeah.
Elliott. Sorry?
Who are you? Hang on, you're saying Watson. I talking Watson right back?
Yeah, Barton would have been right back.
Right, so
you've got Elliott, Aspria, Lee Clark.
Peacock.
Lee Clark was in the team. Aspria was in the team.
No, Lee Clark wasn't it. You've got Batty and Rob Lee in midfield.
Rob Lee, yeah, I'm going to say. I think
Okay, well,
the
let's
biggest problem
wait.
with their argument now, guys, if I'm honest with you, the football back in the 90s was so different to it is today. You needed battlers in the 90s. You needed people that would go and kick.
But
You
by the
can't
way,
do that
But it
anymore.
is. But it is.
by the way, the other argument against
I mean, I'm
that,
not denying it wasn't the
97,
best side.
And I know Bokey's a Keegan. He loves Keegan as much as I love Eddie. So that's a given. But bear in mind, in the very era you're talking about, that was when we were the biggest spenders in the league. We even spent more than Man United. We broke the world transfer record, for fuck's sake. So the players we had on the bench were better.
But the manager, unfortunately, is a stumbling block because he's too soft. The sentiment is
Keegan.
blocking out. No, Eddie.
how?
His sentiment is blocking our progression. Right?
You see,
I'll go back.
I don't think it
Go
is
back.
that.
Let me talk. I'll
on,
tell
then.
you why. For example, Callum Wilson knocking head against brick wall. Everybody knew his body was finished. How many times does this boy have to get injured before you realize, please sell him? He had the last snippets of value you heard about Fulham being interested for around 15 million. You heard about AC. I can't remember which one out of the two. I always get confused. But you have one of AC Milan and Atletico Madrid. One offered a season-long loan and the other one offered £18 million. That was the perfect time to sell.
To move him on,
Didn't
yeah.
sell, the window closed. He injured his pectoral. He was out for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
And this goes back to why Isak's probably pissed off. I think it's a numerous amount of issues. Isak's had to play double duty because of the manager's loyalty to a player who's not injured and his lack of taking a risk of playing a Sula. So, we've rinsed him into the ground. The other one, Joe Linton. We know we can upgrade on Joe Linton. There are targets out there. We should be pushing for it. And I love J7. He's my favourite player. But we need to be pushing for it. It's the sentiment of let's keep the group together. Let's not disrupt the first 11, right? We have to push past that because we're never going to improve, guys.
I'm going to reply just against that a second. Just put that up on the screen again for me. The Mackenzie family, thank you so much for your $9.99.
Yes,
When if Eddie Howe is out of his depth by November and we're struggling, will you be out? I think you've already said that before. Also, Eddie Howe has had backing. Just Andy Howe has messed up this window. The excuses are running out. Just going on, thank you ever so much for Mackenzie family for that. I think Wynn has said that, haven't you? Yeah.
Wynn hasn't said that, and he won't say what if he.
Well, he did. He did say Eddie out.
He did, but I'm saying
I said last season,
right,
with the squad we had, which at the time, when Tonali's ban was just about finished, we got almost a full season out of Tonali, and Barnes' injury had cleared up, so I had Barnes. I said at the time, if Newcastle were not within 3 points of the Champions League by the time the Christmas fixtures had finished, I wanted him out because he's proven that there was absolutely nothing the matter with that squad. And I was, numerous times I said, listen, if we are not, and this, by the way, this is when we're going through the very, very bad start of the season. 5-5-5, first 15 games. 1-5,
5
drew 5, lost 5. We're sitting 12th in the league. I said then, there's no excuse for being 12th in the league with the squad that we've got now. And that, if we were not, we'd had a lot of hard fixtures, there was easier fixtures to come. If there was still a couple of hard fixtures, but I said if we are not within 3 points of the Champions League, then Paul Mitchell and Darren Eales, their day would have been made because they would have had the ideal opportunity to get rid of Eddie Howe.
So is that
what happened? Eddie Howe's magicianship worked again, and we're within 2 points of
There was a few
champions.
games in there as well, though, that Isaac really got out of a hole. Like,
I'm going to
just,
say from December the 5th, we just went on a bit of a run, didn't we? I mean, I think
we
that's
won
what it
9
was.
on
Just
the
to
trot.
add to that, though, just
Can we just pin win down on this? Sorry, guys.
Go on.
Newcastle
Can
winning
we just
9 on the trot.
Can we pin win down on this? Is that the same for this season?
Absolutely.
I think it's
We'll
unfair
have
to ask
something to
him
look
to
forward to, then, so at least we'll have a proper setup by this January.
you see, going back to that start. So this is the other thing that we're not learning, and I've seen it in the preseason as well. So I can see a few little tweaks. I think they're trying it, but the issue is we need to sign more players that can play that way. We're so heavily reliant on this physical, intense, high press style, which means you're having to wait for the team to get fit. And it could take them anything between 6 to 10 games to get to optimum fitness. It's too late. So we're not adapting and evolving the style of play. It's rinse and repeat. Is that the limitations of the manager? I don't know. So not only does it have a detrimental effect on the players because they keep getting injured, it takes us time to get to optimum fitness to execute it. So we're always playing catch up. So the next stage is to evolve the team. And as you notice with Klopp, who started with a very physical style, they started to knock the ball about a bit, and they found different patterns of play, getting the fullbacks involved, etc., etc. So I'm sorry to say it, I want to see some progression this season, and it's not about him being backed. He's supposedly an amazing coach, which we have seen. What I want to see different formations, different patterns of play. At the moment in preseason, all I've seen is get down the wing, cross it in. Get down the right wing, cross it in. And you know what? It's the same patterns of play because it was Trippier to Almiron or Bruno to Almiron. Then it was Murphy. It's the same style of play. Boring. How did we score? We switched the ball to the left side. Barnes scored from the left side. That's what happens when you switch the play. So I don't know how much I can see of this.
Who decided to switch
If it happens again, we've got 15 games of hell. Quite simply, he needs to go. We can't go through the same thing again.
One thing I will say for you, Jeff, is you can't kick it for trying to be aggressive in the market and get players. The problem is, in order to change your tactics, you've got to have the players that are able to fit into different systems. The problem that we're having at the minute is we're trying to buy the keys, but the keys are getting bought off of our clubs. At the end of the day, good players are going to be scouted. I think it's really hard for it to put any, like Borky was saying there before, trying to put Win on the spot. And I get it. Look, Win does fight around that question regularly. Win, I love you. But it's hard to say that now because we don't know where we're going to be.
But how is Jurgen Klopp? If you remember Jurgen Klopp, we can't keep saying we have to buy players. We've seen managers make it work with youth before. Jurgen Klopp was able to win the League Cup with youth players. And you can't tell me that those youth players are better than our first team players.
No, you can't go on. You can't go on that.
Experiment. Do something different.
Yeah, but that's what I'm.
Risks.
That's what I was going to say.
He reminds me a lot of Gareth Southgate. Too cautious. I would rather him take risks. I would rather him take risks and fail. I will commend the manager than playing it safe all the time, rinsing the same players into the ground, having 3 keepers on the bench, that kind of thing.
Yes,
we've got VAR, guys. We've got VAR.
How many youth players has Eddie actually brought through?
Well, that's what I'm saying. My only criticism of him is he doesn't gamble enough and have a look at the kids. Why put three keepers on a bench when you've got a potential of throwing a youngster in there? Even if he doesn't get on the side or in the team, it's giving him that exposure to first team. Yeah, to the first team. And I think, and you get that camaraderie, you get that bullmanship from the older players to the young kids. And I do think it's confidence builder. And that's always been my critique of Eddie Howe, to be fair. He's such a stalwart when it comes to not backing the youngsters or not having the balls to have a look at them. He's pulling them all up in the training areas, but actually utilising them on the bench. Now, I've heard so many things from the other side, if you like, saying he doesn't want to bring the kids onto the bench because if they've got a game Friday night, Saturday morning, he wants them to have game time because that's the only way they're going to get, obviously, game time and get fitter. And I think, like I say, there's far too many times where we have struggled for players on a bench that I think we could have utilised players going forward.
Gary,
Just a couple of
one more thing.
2 seconds because I've got a couple of breaking news.
Go on.
Apparently, we have got we're looking at Kenneth Taylor, a centre midfield from Ajax, and just to confirm, Vlachodimos is now in Seville having his medical.
I tell you what, we haven't got 200 likes yet, and we've got 980.
Get them up.
1,000
Yeah, get 'em
watching
up.
on all
Get them up,
platforms.
people.
We've got 700 in YouTube, and we haven't got 200 likes yet.
Yeah.
Give the channel a chance. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe, hit the bell so you get notified of all our shows. 1, 2 at least a day. One a day anyway, and 2 normally, sometimes 3 if there's breaking news. Avail yourself of this service.
Gary, I want
Indeed.
to ask
Go on.
you something
Go on,
because I
mate.
know that you watch the academy more than most people, right?
Yeah.
So I've seen clips of players like Ferreira doing well. We've sent them
15-year-old, yeah.
they're on loan. So there's 2 things. Why aren't we utilising the youth? So in terms of, you saw it with Arsenal, we've seen it with Man United and all these teams, they were willing to give the youth a chance because it's pre-season. You saw how we lost 4-0 against Celtic. Some will say it doesn't matter. I think we would have had an even better excuse if we actually played the youth because we're going to be like, we had our youth
Tell you
team
the
out.
babies. Yeah, exactly.
So why isn't he doing that? Because we've seen the likes of Ferreira, we've seen the clips. There's other youth players, Garanquo on form. These players are doing good. And the other thing is, why isn't he playing any of the signings that Mitchell has made? What's going on? What's going on?
Again, I can only. I don't want to speak out because I haven't got a clue. The only thing I can say, again, 15-year-old stepping up, and we've seen it. You know, we saw that 15-year-old play for Arsenal against us in
And
Asia.
last night, by the way.
And last night, he looked absolutely quality. You know, absolutely fantastic. I don't think Ferreira, as much as I love him, and I think he will be an absolute worldie when he gets a bit older, I think he's a bit too lightweight. I think there's a couple of them that has been brought in that are a couple of lightweights. I like Afor, the right centre back that's been brought in. He looks some solid player. I do like the look of him. You know, the likes of Munda. Alfie Harrison, bless him, he's been moved around a little bit to try and fit a jigsaw, and it hasn't quite worked for him this season. But I'm hoping now they've got another manager in that he can step forward and run a little bit. I can't answer the question outright, mate, because I've said, you know, for me, there is a couple of shining stars there that I would like to see step up to that next level. What I love about the academy is the fact that they are blooding them in to a higher level, like the 15s are at 18s, the 18s are under 21s, and it's about that stepping stone, that step up to play higher level of football, the higher intensity. You get the knocks, you get the bruises, and it's whether you can bounce back from that. And I do understand. You've also got to say we are 15 years behind every other club within the Premier League. So you know this isn't just going to happen overnight, mate. It's a work in progress, if you like. But the progress that Mitchell has made to that academy is second to none because we weren't anywhere near where we are now when it comes to an academy. Sorry, Mike.
And by the way, I've given Mitchell his flowers for the academy work.
Can you remember that?
That being said,
Let's just do this Irish Assassin.
But Irish Assassin, another $10 off Irish Assassin. Thank you very much.
Yeah, lads,
not the top choices we've been after that can score 10 to 15 goals each. Add in what we're going to get from the rest of the squad, and we should be able to score enough goals.
When we remember back mid-2000s, there was Arsenal youth side. They won, was it 3 Carling Cups in 4 years or 2 in 4 years, where not one of them really was in the first team picture at all. How many of them actually went on to be Arsenal regulars?
Yeah, and they played those players in the early rounds of the cups. As soon as they got
no. 2 of the years that whole youth team won the cup. There was maybe the odd Jack Wilshere in midfield along with 9 other kids. They won 2 Carling. Honestly, I was watching back on Sky Sports here the other night, mate.
I'll need to double check that.
You get on your computer and you have a check and then come back to us. But I'm telling you,
thank you, Irish Assassin. Anyway,
the face is going red because he's beginning to get some stats up.
Two of 200 likes. Come on,
Right.
folks.
Listen,
Irish Assassin's comment, by the way, just to add to Irish Assassin's comment, I can't remember who I said it to. I might have mentioned it in the group. So to kind of try and turn the realistic comment into a positive, where I was moaning about the wing play, what it does show us is we don't have enough through the middle. So a
You're too far
genius
behind.
plan would be actually to not get a defensive midfielder. It would be to buy an attacking midfielder to chip in with goals from a central position. They can add 8, 10, 12 goals to the team. Could be really vital, because I think the other thing is, apart from Isak, a lot of our play came from the wings.
but did you not see that when we were
Yeah,
actually
Just
in
later.
Asia? You had J7 in the second game playing that hole, if you like. I wouldn't say in a 10, but he played in the hole more of the 8. And you had Bruno and Miley sitting the deep. No, it wasn't. It was. Yeah, it was. And then when you go on to the other side into the other game, you had Tonali sitting deep. And then you know, with Willock, obviously you went out injured, playing in that hole. But I mean, what you get then is you did get 2 lads sitting deep and one going in playing in front of them, and it didn't matter. There was lots of what's the word? Transitions. I can never say that word proper.
Yeah.
Transitions, where you get players rotate position. So you'd have, and again, I love that with Bruno, because I don't want to always see Bruno trying to go box to box. He hasn't got the recovery.
Speed,
So
yeah.
if he goes and then Tonali drops with Miley, say, if Miley's going to play in that role, then he hasn't got to use all of his wind to get back and try and support. You've got players playing in that situation. What I didn't like about Eddie Howe last season, when you played Tonali as the 6 and you played the 2 8s, 9 times out of 10 he was singled out. He had to cover left to right, and that's not what you want your 6 to do all the time. You know, you want your 6 to be the anchor if you've got 2 going. But if you switch it round, and like I say, you play 2 wide men rather than 2 inverted, which is 9 times out of 10 what we were playing, because we were too far away from Isak. And Isak had to drop into the hole himself then, and we had nobody running behind. So there was a number of issues, wasn't there? I totally agree with what you're saying, mate. It's not rocket science.
Lampard-esque. You know that Lampard-esque, Gerrard-esque sort of player. Because I saw that we were linked to, I can never say his first name, so I'm going to gamble and say Yohan Sanset, who got 15 league goals for Bilbao last year as an attacking midfielder. So imagine if we had that kind of player. So not just getting in and threading balls, but actually chipping in with a goal could cover having a not so hot striker or just relying on the width. An actual goal scoring midfielder, basically like our own Lampard, so to speak. That could be a stroke of genius that nobody could see coming. Maybe we should change tact and look for that kind of.
Let's have a look at it. Yeah,
been a problem for a while, that though, hasn't it?
Massive. Listen, we've got so many questions. I'm going to apologise to everybody out there, because we have starred them, but you know, we're an hour and 25 virtually into the show, and I haven't really got onto the subject we wanted to get onto. But I do want to highlight just something like Kim Cam has gone here. Nothing to do with the Eddie Howe power game. It's the negligence of Piff. And I looked at this this video with Mark Clattenburg. And he was having a chat. Obviously, he's a Newcastle fan, and I think it was it Craig, or I can't remember. Anyway, have a look. It's one of the reporters. It may have been the other one.
Saudi will not do anything till they need to know they've got to fix it. They don't. They're not forward-thinking people, so they're just happy to think, let's just throw a bit more money to solve it. But it doesn't work like that. Like, when was the CEO, Darren, going to leave the club? What, 6 months ago it was announced that he was going to leave it?
10 months ago now.
10 months ago then. Even. So they've had 10 months to replace a CEO, and there's nobody in.
In any other business would that happen? Really,
no.
Craig? You know?
No.
You know, sporting director, you hit, Craig, you've just hit the nail on the head from my point. You've got a sporting director. If you want to be eliteness, or the club to be eliteness, you need to have your sporting director needs to be elite. Mm-hmm. You know, then players need to come and go, you know what, I want to work for this football club. There's nobody seems to be selling this football club. Nobody's selling the city. Nobody's selling the project. It seems to be that they're living off, we've qualified for Champions League, therefore come and play for the football club.
I think that's a great point.
Saudi...
a couple of really interesting points, if I'm honest with you. When I was starting to look at that, I was like, you know what? I actually understand, and you can feel the frustration even in Mark Clattenburg's voice, you know. And why haven't they got a CEO in position after 10 months? Why are we still waiting to hear whether Hopkins? I mean, I've heard today Hopkinson won't come in until the end of the window because he doesn't want to slow things down.
It only fuels the speculation that Eddie Howe could be against or has to give approval on who it is. Or let's say support Boki's theory of that maybe Eddie Howe's difficult to work with or work up to. You know, he's not very good at working upwards. Let's say Mitchell didn't work well. No one's really ridiculed Mitchell in his previous jobs. No one's really come out in his previous clubs and nailed him. You would have expected if he was. I mean, he did come across as egotistical, but people in big jobs do. I think it just puts more fuel on the fire that maybe Eddie's the stumbling block for that.
Yeah,
I'm not saying just
no.
You can understand the narrative getting grown.
And here's the next one. Like I say, this is another one. Again, nobody. I'm not saying this will probably split the fence. Not everybody likes Simon Jordan, but he does speak sometimes a lot of sense.
Man United has all the appeal that we know it has, but it has all the challenges that it's a mess. So there's lots of reasons why Manchester United is not. Shouldn't be the given choice. And I without being critical, because I'm not privy to the conversations, people have got to up their games at Newcastle, perhaps, and up the woo that they're pitching.
In terms of that one-to-one direct pitch, as opposed to going through agents.
If Alex is to believe that the strategy was to secure the club is the easiest part of the equation to secure. Just pay them what they want. The player is the more difficult part of the equation. The player is the one that needs to be convinced. The player is the challenging aspect. The club you can sort out because the club will take the best offer.
Is geographical sort of issues a reason here? This is coming from Kenneth, who says, I think Newcastle are struggling because where Newcastle is, players want to live in the northwest or London over Newcastle. Is that still a thing?
Yeah, well, but it's certainly London is a pull, isn't it? And that people will say, well, it's because you're a southerner. No, it's because it's a pull to international. People think of London when they think of England. They don't think of rainy days in Manchester, do they? And they might do because they've got a music scene there and Oasis alive and current right now. Man United is such an iconic football club. And Man City have been the best football club for the last 10 years in terms of achievements. And Newcastle comes with that a little bit of stigma as to where it is a beautiful part of the world. Yeah. And it's a fabulous town and it's a great football club. And they've just got to work harder. They've got to work harder on creating the optics, re-evaluating in people's minds that we're owned by the richest people in sport. Yep. We're owned by huge opportunities and huge influence. Look at what we're doing in boxing in our space here. Look at what we're trying to do with golf. We're going to do it with football. Newcastle is our club that we're going to achieve it through. And we've got potentially the next England manager in our dugout, and we've got a whole raft of things. We've got top players. Look what we did to Joe Linton. It's all about making sure that people get the right message, and it's easier said than done, and I'm sure they're doing a lot of that, but we're in an outcome business, and if the outcomes aren't where you want them to be, then you've got to reevaluate your pitch. And if Alex is right that the pitch was made to the club rather than the player, and probably somewhere in the middle is the truth, then they've got to do better. Yeah. Because if you lose out, they lost out to Man United. They didn't get off, irrespective of what people think about the boy from Brentford going to Man United, they didn't get off the starters grid with that. He'd already made his decision before anything. So that was a preordained bias. I'm not sure the same can be said of the boy that they've just missed out on. Newcastle.
So there you go. Again, not everybody's cup of tea, Mr. Jordan, but I thought, again, comes across with a lot of sense, And again, it's all about pointing the finger at PIF. As the people actually, very forefront in a lot of businesses that they're in.
Liquid Metal Man there saying the geographical thing is bollocks. How many decent players do the sandbox that is Saudi Arabia to play for money? Liquid Metal Man, very valid point. Except that the figures you're talking about for players that are moving to Saudi are so out with, when you bear in mind the tax and everything, so far out with what they're ever going to get anywhere else.
The one thing
then certainly money can be the ceiling
The one thing I would pick Simon up on was that he said that we're a town, we're a city,
We're a
or
city,
we're a tune.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We're not a town. But the other side, the coin is that he is
Good
kind of
point,
right.
well made, Bogey.
Jesus Christ, he is on it.
I'm gonna say, are you on the pills?
Uh-huh.
I told you.
But in regards to what he
I'm
said,
keeping my calm tonight.
in point of what he
Save
said
my
about,
wrath for the forum.
in regards to what he said about the lure of Newcastle, is that not a big reason why we need a big manager? Because we're not going to, we haven't got the history of a Man United, we haven't got a history even of a Chelsea recently or of an Arsenal. Do we need a big manager to get the players in?
It's a cheap.
Andrew Barwick here has put down, do you think Piff are waiting for an opportunity to get rid of Howe? I love Eddie, but I do think he's running us like a mid-table team.
I said it.
There you go. I mean, there is certainly something happening. Yeah, there's certainly something happening where they're squeezing, and whether it's, like I say, either via the back room, but it looks like Eddie's days could be numbered, especially in this window, because, like I say, when you look at the squad, and Boki's already touched on it. When you look at the squad, is it better than we started with? Well, we've lost 4 players, and we've literally got 1 player in. And we talk about strength of depth in squad. We are certainly less of a squad now than we are when it comes to numbers. But what I want to start looking at now, because our chat went absolutely AWOL. Oh, there we go. Thank you so much. From Klopper. Here's a few.
Sorry.
Here's a few quid to start the Isaac bid. Only an LFC will provide the additional 150 later. All the best for the season, lads. Thank you ever so much, Klopper. Very nice of you, buddy.
Without any disregard to all the lovely people who've.
Well, there's a rumour out there. You sit on the edge of your seat because Liverpool are on the verge of coming in with another bid.
Yeah, 125 million.
No, it's not that. That's BS. That's BS. No. This is, like I said, I did state in the chat, I don't know how many days ago, 130 plus 10. Stand by your beds, everybody, because I believe it's on the verge.
Guys, just to not remind you, can you remember the season Shearer broke his leg, where had he not broke his leg, we tried every striker named Andre Sanderson, John Dole Thomason, you name it. We could have a season just like that, where the rest of the team's not that, of a good level. But if you haven't got a goal, if Isaac leaves early and we go into the first 3 games, say Villa, Liverpool, and who's the other one? I think it's Spurs, is it? Sorry, forgive us for the first 3 fixtures. But we could be 3-4 fixtures into the season before we actually get reinforcements in.
Leeds, yeah, for the 3rd game. I was trying to think then. Leeds.
What happens when Arsenal, great team, but when you can't put the ball in the back of the net regularly, you don't get to the top. You don't get to the top of it.
Well, here's another one, right? With the squad depth as we've got at the moment, with the issues that we've got at the moment, 2 or 3 injuries in them first 3 games could see a dramatic decline in performance, and then results go out the window because then everything's fighting for
midfield.
Well, we haven't got a midfield.
We don't have to worry about that, Gary, because this is the best squad we've ever had.
You're being flippant. So anyway, let's get on to a topic that literally hit a storm. Video was shown with Andy Howe coming out and making a statement. Now, I'm going to play it, and obviously this is a couple of American lads talking to Andy Howe about scouting. And I can understand where people got the annoyance and everything else, and straight away it was Andy Howe out. So I'm going to play it, and then we're going to talk about it.
When was this recorded, by the way?
2 seconds. I will come to that in a second.
So I head up the UK side, and there's a team 6 of us, and so obviously that's half the department. But our bread and butter is, the domestic market, the UK market. Hence why, there's a high number of scouts within that team. And then we've the other guys that within that department, they'll be out there scouting the other leagues, for example, potentially like Germany, Spain, Italy, and then obviously you've got the analyst guys as well that would do the stat side.
So that was obviously what was said. So I'm going to come to you guys because obviously when I heard, when I saw that, I mean, like I said, I don't always have my phone on me. I have it on the side and it's on silent because a lot of the time I don't like to get disturbed while I'm working. So when I got to my phone afterwards, it was like 200, messages had gone by. I'm skim read because, like I say, a lot of it I don't read. So I'm skim reading it. And everybody went absolutely ballistic. Thank you for becoming a member. It's Crazy World Dudes
It's
Can
a
Apparently Be
crazy
Women.
world where dudes can be women.
And we're going to put this one on the screen again. Irish Assassin, thank you so much. Piff waiting for a new CEO to make the decision on Eddie in or out. Remember, Mancini won at the Man City first ever league title. Next year, he got fired.
That's
absolutely. So, gentlemen, and I'm going to come to the boys at the bottom because you two were making a lot of noise when it come to this. What was your issue with that video?
It's a bit, one-tracked in terms of that domestic view, in terms of the scouting and recruitment, and then that reverberates to the issues that we have today. Now, I have a feeling what you're probably going to say is that video's outdated, but
he was at Bournemouth.
Change, so
he was at Bournemouth. So why should a video that was filmed while he was involved in Bournemouth Football Club pee you off?
Have you seen? I'm just going to ask: have you guys seen much change from that approach in terms of players that we've been targeting?
I'm going to ask the question again, and I don't want to be flippant, right? In our current situation, give me a name, and I keep saying it, tell me a name of a person who is doing it if he shouldn't do it. And I want to hear you because you're quiet.
No, I'll answer this one. In regards to that video, it was a long time ago. In regards to it, it seemed to be a very snipped video. It was cut back.
Yeah,
I could show you some more of it if you want. I don't come onto these shows without researching the BS that I read and see in our chat. So I am throwing a question.
He's failed. So he needs to get his P45. It's as simple as that.
Just, he's got the personality of a wet weather day, hasn't he? I mean, let's be honest. If you're a top player,
I think if you just let us finish, I think we're raising a point about him that I don't agree with him being in charge of the way he is in the club. But who
put him there?
I don't think. Well, Eddie.
Here we go again. Have you got any proof of that?
His surname's a big giveaway.
Yeah, come on. Listen.
Come on, Gary.
No. Listen, you've got Darren Eales who's up the top there. You've got Silverstein. You've got all of the board members, right? Don't forget, he was, before July, he was the director assistant. He was promoted to help to underneath Steve Nicks because there was nobody else doing the job. It wasn't his choice. He was put forward by the group on the board during a board meeting. Why don't we give Andy Howe a move into there because there's nobody else supporting Steve Nixon? So
because he's bloody good at his job.
Just 2 points. I was actually trying to stand up for him a little bit there and saying you shouldn't use that video against him. And also, with the way you got passionate there, can we swap you and win round in this?
No.
Keep your voice down.
All I'm saying is, like I said before, we're a no blame country, but finger pointing attitude. And until we've got facts, we seem to just point a finger at somebody. And what I try and do then is I look at all of your chats. I then go away and I spend hours and hours and hours, right? Looking into the videos, looking into everything, and trying to source the points of what all the kerfuffle about. And all I see on here is exactly what people are trying to, I suppose, start a fire. And it's driving that wedge between individuals, the club, and an individual person. I'm not saying he is fit for the role. What I'm saying to you is, I cannot believe in heart and heart, and I've worked in some crazy industries in my time, I can't believe my heart and heart, Eddie Howe being a football manager, football coach, right, has the power to put his nephew in charge or assistant in charge of scouting when he's never looked outside of the UK for players. And even I don't even know whether he's got a scouting or any background in scouting.
But Gary,
So-
hang on as well.
Is that normal for a club to have
let's
50-50 split?
Let's just go step by step here. That video was taken when Andy Howe was working, admittedly under Eddie Howe. And am I saying that he got the job at Bournemouth as part of the scouting team? Or rather, that he didn't get that job because he was Andy Howe's nephew? Maybe he did. But what he was able to do at Bournemouth, and this is the sphere in which Bournemouth at the time were operating in. Of course, little old Bournemouth in the second division and first division and championship at the time didn't have a worldwide scouting organisation. So he said then, quite rightly, that at that time, the scouting team who identified all of the players that Eddie Howe was forced to sell, your Nathan Ackes et al., and your Callum Wilsons that he recruited, and your Ryan Frasers that he recruited.
Things when he was young.
They did such a fantastic job at Bournemouth. You're saying he did a bad job then? Because I don't think he did a very bad job then, getting them from the 4th division to the 3rd division through 5 years in the Premier League.
Ramsdale, Charlie Austin.
Selling
And
all of their best players. So is Eddie Howe not entitled to think then? Hey, this
So
kid,
at the start of the video that's been
going
clipped
good.
for clickbait, right? The
clickbait.
two American lads did say at Bournemouth, yeah. So it states in the conversation, but it's been clicked. All right, that's what I'm saying. And all this is doing is literally throwing a wedge between the fans and the club. Because now, as you've all rightly mentioned, and I've said it myself, at this present moment in time, we are an absolute laughingstock because we just cannot close. And that is the fault of the clubs, unfortunately. And like I say, you can point your finger at Andy Howe, Eddie Howe, Al Ramayan, you name it. I think there's a problem from top to bottom because somebody isn't managing the club correctly. Now, Darren Hills has gone. I've read that, like I say, Hopkinson is coming in at the end of the window. What use is that? Ross Wilson, apparently he's been told he can't come. He's on gardening leave to a degree at Nottingham Forest. So, again, no CAO, no director of football. This should have been dealt with 10 months ago, a certain part of it. The other part is, again, I keep saying it, did Mitchell drop us in the shit by saying, I'm giving him a month's notice. You're coming up to the most important time of your footballing calendar, which is the window, knowing full well that there isn't enough people there. And again, I'll go back to it. Andy Howe got put into the position in July, right? This is like I say, a month before, he was handed over by Mitchell to Andy Howe. Who's given him, there's your director of football, giving this lad a position of importance that hasn't got the ability to do it. So I'll point the finger again and say to you, lads, you're talking absolutely opinionated. I absolutely love that. And you're showing a lot of passion towards a club that you've supported for years. We all have. But all I was saying to you is sometimes before you cast that vote of sometimes I think of unfamiliarity, I think you should just work out whether it's true or false. Because I think you're giving a lot of bad press towards a lad that's probably well out of his depth, but doing his best. And we've all been there at times. And I'm just going to go.
We're a Premier League team. That's in the Champions League.
I know that, Bokeh, but what I'm saying
not
is
acceptable.
Exactly.
And to be fair, Wynne completely deflected the question, going back to them being at Bournemouth. That's completely doesn't make any difference now.
But
The
that's
fact
a
is,
video that everybody's going on about.
Let us finish. You said the night you were in a little calm. Keep calm. In regards to this, Eddie Howe has got in place the team he wanted. He could have got more people in. He could have done different. He hasn't. So, and Andy Howe is out of his depth. That's obvious. In regards to how we only sign one bloody player.
Right then. Well, listen, that's what I said. These are all the scouts that I've got on the screen now, right? So let's have a quick look through these scouts. And like I say, this hasn't been updated because you haven't got Andy Howe on here. Yeah. So you've got all your loan players. You've got Billy Jeffrey, who looks in and around the Scottish divisions. Lots of English names on there that we all know. You've got somebody who obviously deals with the Portuguese side and maybe southern Spain. You've got one Spanish lad here, you've got a French lad, and you've got a Dutch lad. The rest are all English boys, right? Now, after that, I did go and do a little bit of work when it comes to our scouting. And to be fair, I'm going to say this, it's really difficult because what Newcastle have done, I don't know who set this up, but they seem to have thrown a little bit of a cloak over the scouting hub. But what I did get was, and again, it did make me laugh when I was doing this and writing this, because it's like everything that we're not seeing. Let's put it that way. UK and Ireland, comprehensive coverage of England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. Continental Europe, Western Europe, France, Germany, Spain, Italy, Netherlands, Scandinavia and Eastern Europe, Denmark, Sweden, Norway, Poland. South America, Brazil, Argentina, Uruguay, Paraguay, Chile. Africa, West Africa, North Africa, South and East Africa, Asia, all around the Asian leagues, and North America, USA, Canada. Then it goes on to say, I asked the question, can you provide examples? So obviously then it goes into Antonio Cordero, and it gives you all the background of where he was scouted, Alfie Hutchinson, Pivas, even Zabani's on here, the Ukrainian, and it goes on. But again, I don't want to go through all individual players. It makes me laugh because looking ahead, Newcastle scouts continue to monitor emerging hotspots across Africa, the Nigerian teenage prospects, the South American breakout talents in Brazil Serie A, and Asian standout performers from the J-League and A-League, ensuring a constant pipeline of global talent. I haven't seen any because all the players that we've brought in so far have mainly been in Europe and from England lower leagues. And then it goes on to say Newcastle United expanding scouting regions. Newcastle United have recently advertised a major global recruitment drive, appointing dedicated scouts across 7 key international regions. Each scout acts as an ambassador for the club, responsible for identifying and assessing both emerging talent and establishing targets in line with Newcastle's recruitment strategy. Have you seen any of that? No. Because that is, like I say, directly, I say directly from the club. I mean, it's all BS because obviously when they doing the PR stuff, it's just out there.
They're trying to build it, I suppose.
Yeah. But like I said,
and again, under Ashley, we were so far behind everybody else that it's going to take time.
If we had the director of football there, it would be mobilised, and it all goes back to who orchestrated for him to be removed. And I did say it. I said it. It would be at the detriment of the club, and that's what's being proven right now. And I also said it as well. The previous summer, when Eddie was throwing his toys out the pram. That him not only having a one-track mind for Mark Gehi caused us issues. It's funny how Tiao was recommended. I'm not saying he was recommended by Mitchell. He may have been, but all of a sudden he wasn't good enough last summer because he wanted Gehi. Now we're going for Tiao. It's too late.
Right.
It's too late. So put our hands up and blame the guy that needs to be blamed.
No, we went for Gehi first because he's a better player than Chow. And if we can't get Gehi, we'll get Chow.
But if it's playing out
and what's happened with Chow already?
So
the pricing.
So the stubbornness, and we've already talked about the stubbornness already today. Ended up in a PR disaster because every time you return him with a 5 million increase, and they keep saying no, we're looking at Oliver Twist with a bowl of porridge saying, please can I have some
Please
more?
go some more. Yeah,
And there
yeah.
comes a point where you have to pivot. And he may not have respected Mitchell, but I'm telling you now, someone of his caliber wouldn't have had a portfolio ready saying, look, I know you guys might not have scouted them, but my network would have. If you need a shortlist, I've got it. And I'm sure they would have said, no, we got things covered. So it's been to our detriment. And Gianesta mentioned something which I've mentioned before. That interview with Simon Jordan last year was very telling, because he did say, he's not my boss.
He's
We're
not my
partners.
boss. Yeah, which he obviously was.
Respect for a director of football.
Yeah,
Because
but again,
no other club has this stuff.
No.
Andy's referred to it. No other club has this stuff going on, guys.
No, and that's what I said. You're quite right by saying, we are so far behind other clubs now. We haven't got these people in position, and this window actually highlights the issues that we haven't got the right people in the right places because we haven't got a closer. Here we go. We got one on here. Mubarak $4.99. Thank you ever so much. As Alel Alfal, I can assure you, all Ruben Neves on a permanent signing. I've just missed it. Where's that gone? Can you whack that back up for us?
Yep, 2 seconds.
There you go. Ruben Neves on a permanent signing and Mitrovic on a loan. Would help us a lot. Well, I mean, like I say, there's still lots of talk about Mitrovic potentially coming our way, but I don't know. Yeah,
Can I just ask a quick question of Win? And this isn't trying to go out rail you, but in regards to this, if you go into the January transfer window, would you want the same setup with the way this transfer window's had it with the people who've been in charge of transfers?
Absolutely not.
So you would accept that we have to have a CEO and a director of football?
Without a doubt.
Yeah, so breaking again, guys, just so we know, and again,
What we need to do is establish the boundaries between the director of football and Eddie Howe.
Well, Eddie Howe's the coach. He shouldn't be in charge of
any transfers at all.
Nothing at all, yeah.
Eddie Howe should be totally in charge of who he wants in the first.
No,
you're managing the championship then.
Because then you're doing exactly the same as what you did with Mitchell. You're bringing in somebody who is handicapped because of the fact that Eddie Howe's in charge of transfers.
No.
Not only that,
you're bringing in somebody
work with each other. You can building a trust.
Who isn't in the hierarchical structure, which was so Gary put it up on a show the other day. Actually, the actual hierarchical structure in which Eddie Howe was underneath the director of football. It's Eddie Howe who's going to get sacked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? He's a great coach,
mate. So he has got to have massive input into who's going to come into his squad.
No.
I've got the conch.
As usual.
If Eddie Howe has a good working relationship with the director of football or whatever title he happens to be given underneath the CEO, then that relationship should be good enough for the DOF, with the input that he's getting from the scouting team that he assembles and the recruitment team that he assembles, to say, hey, Eddie, I've got these kids, look at this, da-di-da-di-da. And are you telling me that Eddie Howe is so close-minded that he wouldn't be quite happy to look at those and say, oh my God, he looks
Has
a
that
bit...
not been proved in the past?
Yes, the guy that left Carney on the bench.
Because of Eddie Howe.
Do you want us to put that?
I think there's an argument against what you said there when the evidence suggests against it. At the end of the day, you've got a guy that owns or is on the board of Salford, one of the joint owners, sitting with Les Ferdinand after he left QPR on the overlap, sitting there going, so I own a club, but how much control should a manager have on transfers? He's owned Salford for the last 6-7 years. They've had 4 promotions, and even he can't still work out how much trust to give his manager. How are us 5 supposed to say that's right or that's wrong? I think it comes down to ultimately working relationship and trust. If you don't trust each
working
other,
relationships.
So,
Right.
so
Which
here
Eddie
then.
can't do.
Well, okay.
Eddie
I'm
can't
going to
do.
ask
He
you
can't do
to.
working relationships with the DUF.
I'm going to ask you
Can't do
guys
it.
a
He's
question then.
got rid of them.
There's lots of rumours now, and again, I'm going to say rumours because I don't know how true this is, but I've heard that Ross Wilson, who's obviously coming in as the new DOF or potentially coming in as a new DOF, and Eddie Howe are friends. So, does this help or does it hinder? Because that working relationship, as you're asking, is going to be a bit clouded by a coach who, as Win wants, is going to dictate the type of player or named a player that he wants to go for. So, are we back to where we are now if that happens? Are we back to a situation where, yes, you've got a DOF working alongside Eddie Howe, you've had Ashworth, then you've had Mitchell. That obviously Mitchell, again, all the crap about Mitchell I don't really know about, but again, he lost a lot of value and face from the players and Eddie Howe the moment he opened his mouth, apparently. So again, you have to ask yourself: is that Mitchell's fault or is it Eddie Howe's fault? Is if you go in there with your, with one vision and not looking at the vision of the club in hand, are you putting yourself on a pedestal? So again, having Ross Wilson on board, if it is Ross Wilson that comes in, Eddie knows personally really well. Are we in a situation where the two of them, as much as they can get on, are going to be able to choose the right players?
Okay,
You've got to have
so
someone.
hang on.
The
The rhetoric.
can I just put one point to this one? The biggest worry about that appointment is the first thing that came out in the media was Eddie Howe has agreed to this appointment.
Mad.
That should not be even in the thought
He
process.
shouldn't have even been involved in the conversation.
He shouldn't have been in discussions with it. It should be what PIF or if PIF put the CU in place, what the CUF wants. Eddie Howe being happy with it, if anything's a major issue. It shouldn't be running decisions by Eddie Howe.
But is this the situation we're in now? Because we've got nobody else in there that are willing to say yes or no. And I think this is what I said. When you look at the structure at the minute, you've lost your CEO, you've lost your DOF. What I can't understand, and I said this to Win yesterday, is we've got this guy, I can't think of his blooming name now, bear with me. What was his name? Jack Ross. Went straight out of my head then for a second. Who's supposed to be, is he something, what did I say he was? He's head of football operations, right? So what does that mean? Because I have never heard him mentioned in any conversations. If he's head of football operations, is that not something to do where you go and sell the idea, the vision of the club?
What I want to say is that the rhetoric being spouted by the dynamic duo below me is that Eddie Howe can't work with a sporting director. Eddie Howe worked perfectly adequate with Ashworth. Ashworth just decided he like the players, he wanted to go to Man United.
Bollocks, man. Come on. Win.
Where's the evidence?
What happens well, guys, let me ask you something. If you're unhappy with your job, what do? You go to
someone that's going to pay a lot more money.
You're not gonna put up with shit, And also look at the length of time. They were both short stays. What does that tell you?
But one was headhunted.
It tells you that we had arguably, certainly the most sought after director of football that there was, who by the way, we recruited from Brighton, who've got this fantastic system that everybody put down to Ashworth being brilliant, but in actual fact it was Tony Bloom. But that's by the by. We've got Dan Ashworth, who's really well respected in the industry for his England work, etc., etc., etc. And Man United yet again say, we can't have Newcastle having him. We'll go and get him. So they send him a phone call and he says, fucking hell, I can go and work for Man United. I'm on my bike.
There's nothing to suggest there's anything other than that, is there? We've got nothing to suggest.
Nothing.
That there was
One at a time, guys. One at a time, because you're talking
the actual deals that Ashworth and Howe did when the two of them were both in situ were exemplary. Livramento, Hall, Tonali.
So when you're saying Ashworth and Howe were like a power duo, they were doing really well and managed to get where they wanted.
What I'm saying is
No, there's
they
that.
work
That's the
well
point you're
together.
making. Yeah. So why didn't Ashworth fight to get Howard as a Man United manager when he had the chance?
What's that got to do with it?
It is. He
Well,
wanted
no,
Gareth
they had this
That's not
magic
good, is
relationship.
Yeah.
Ashworth became director of football, so would technically be in charge of who came in as manager or coach. Why didn't he fight? No. Why didn't he fight to get Eddie Howe? Because Eddie Howe could go to any top 6 club he wanted.
Maybe because he was getting that much shit for leaving in the first place. He didn't want to leave her in the lurch anymore for taking one manager out. That could have something to do with it.
He didn't care about it, did he?
Hey, hold on, what's going on here, Warren? Heston Blumenthal and Ainsley Harriott are wrong. Oh, Jesus. Oh, my days. I hope you guys can... I'll tell you something now. I'm going to come round to their house and have a meal if that's the case.
Will be called
Come on, I want to see your Ainsley Harriott shake, mate. Come on.
Jeffers is just one question. Which one's which?
Love it. Great. Listen, boys, we've done over 2 hours. It's been fantastic.
The main thing that we need is someone that's not a yes man. Whether you know Eddie or not, you cannot.
Well, I'm going to end with a question. I am going to end with a question, right? I mean, I've just been obviously told about the strategic points. Jack Ross is the new head of football strategy. Like I said, it's a role involves developing consistent sports philosophy across the club, reporting to the sporting director. But who does he report to? And surely he should step up to the helm if we haven't got a sports director. Surely to God, that's how it works. So what I'm saying to you is, why in the chat do we not hear Jack Ross's name being mentioned? And it's always Andy Howe. And that's what I keep saying. You know, we seem to have this vision and this finger. If your name's Howe, and it doesn't matter whether you're a coach or whether you're assistant head of recruitment, you're out. Your days are bloody numbered. And that's what I keep saying. There is so many names that we can point the finger at. If you're going to point the blame at somebody, surely to God, it's got to be the management side that's doing all this, because I don't see anybody else trying to do it. And I keep asking you guys the same question. If Andy Howe isn't going to be doing it, Eddie Howe's out there coaching, who's going to do it? And I think we've all come to a stumbling block with that answer because none of us know. Andrew Barwick, let me just finish with this one, Win, because it's a cracker. If Eddie Howe brings somebody in, what happens if he has a bad season and we need to sack him? We then have to remove the sporting director again. Back to bloody square one. Sporting direct should be a long term, yeah? Obviously, sporting director, because sporting direct is a no-no.
But this again was 90% of the problem, allegedly, between Mitchell and Howe. That a director of football, a DOF, his job, his biggest job, is to appoint the first team coach. Beats every other job he's got to do. He's got to appoint the right first team coach. When Mitchell appeared on the scene, that coach was already in situ and doing a damn fine job. That straight away upsets the balance that is oft quoted, never stops being quoted by the dynamic duo that every successful team, every top 6 team has a DOF, da-di-da-di-da. I'm living in the 80s, I'm living in the 90s. Every DOF appoints the coach that they're working with. So, of course, that relationship, respect, call it what you will, is there. When you've got somebody who comes in off the street, Billy Big Bollocks, saying, all right, we're going to do things differently now. You're not fit for purpose. I'm going to make it fit for purpose. We're all going to do it. And he doesn't know anybody's names and he goes spouting around. How can that possibly be Eddie Howe's fault?
I do love it when these guys are all together. I do, honestly, because
he overstepped, Win. So this is where I blame PIF, where PIF should have said, listen, Eddie Mitchell's our appointment. Sorry, Eddie Mitchell. Paul Mitchell is our appointment. He is the director of football. You report into him. He has control. If you don't like it, you know where the door is, because we are Newcastle United FC. not Eddie Howe FC.
Eddie Howe FC,
No matter
yeah.
if it's Eddie Howe or Mourinho or even Pep, you're just a manager. You're there to coach a team and do a job. The club lives forever. No one person is bigger than the club. So that's where I think PIF are at fault. And they left the lines wavered. And Eddie took a power grab. It's left a vacuum. And this is the situation.
This is where we are. Absolutely. Now, we've got to end in a high. But before I ask my mate Mighty Win to do this,
He's not going to sing.
I'm going to say thank you so much for the happy clapper in chief himself, the Mighty Win, to Andy Bell, to Boki, and to Jefferson, because it's been a fantastic show as always. Again, as you can see out there in Viewland,
And I didn't shout once.
No. I think I raised my voice more than you did. Which is crazy, and to say what a fantastic. And again, I apologise for all of the messages and the questions that have been put to us. It's been phenomenal. Thank you so much. Again, apologies for not getting to all of them. I want to say thank you to the 258 that have hit the like. Please, as you go, there's still well over 800 watching us at the minute. Just do us a favour and smash the likes. It's been a fantastic show, and this is the only show where you get
and hit the bell,
where you get the Tony Barton, and while he is doing what I ask him to do, well, it's not me, it's Alessandro Minetti. He's going to hit and here we go. The likes increase when Mighty Win sings Newcastle songs, and while he does this, I am just going to put up on the screen everybody that's gifted. Thank you so much for your constant gifts. Like I say, I do feel humble at times with all the kind words and gestures. So superb. Thank you so much, one and all. Thank you to the panel. Take it away, the Mighty Win.
This is. By the way, I am unprepared for this. So.
Oh well, you see, you should never be unprepared, Tony Barton. Come on.
Song so down the wing like lightning. Park Sung Sue, the pace he shows is frightening. That's as far as I've got with that one.
Thank fuck for that.
Hey, I'm trying
100 quid super chat from
Come on.
someone.
Come on. We're trying to get these likes even higher. You've got to carry on, man.
We need buzzers in the background.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Have you told us I would have had a list?
That's it. You're only going to get one. So Irish Assassin, thank you. Random Access, Apples, Warren Dinning, Rebe Bakir, the Mackenzie family, Big Yinks, Andy Barwick, Kloppo. It's a crazy world. Dudes are apparently be women. Mubarak. I think that is everybody. Thank you all so much for your kind gifts. I don't think I've missed any.
Super Shawnee Longstaff.
Here we go, Michael McIntyre.
And ferocious.
Newcastle
Make the
fan Lewis.
opposition seem possessed and atrocious. If you
God,
sing
no,
this
yeah.
song with us, you really do support us. Super Shawnee Longstaff is terrific and precocious. Diddle 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 I diddle diddle. Oh, here the lads.
Lassies and bands. See you on the next one. Don't forget 2:15 tomorrow with me and the Mighty Win. We'll be back with you doing all the news and the live stuff. Hit the likes before you go. Love you all. Take care for now.
Ciao.
Okay, everyone. Get in the comments, please. See if we can reply to this.